残酷な天使のように少年よ神話になれ青い風が今胸のドアを
Hey everyone, and welcome to the Adcast. This week it's Absolute Territory time again because we are welcoming in the new season of Spring Anime, Spring 2018. I am your super kira kira idol host Renu.
And I'm sick.
It's your sick boy soup. He's really ready.
I am ill, but I do this for the fans.
You do this
to
for the
bring
people?
you lovely content of my sick voice telling you about anime.
Feels bad, man.
I kid.
Uh-huh. Yeah, this is more like you subjecting them to
Yes.
your wonderful voice.
Yes, my wonderful sick voice.
Should we actually explain what absolute territory is for people who have no idea what we are referring to when we say that in our name?
Yeah, I was like talking to one of my friends who listens to this show, and I realized I never actually got around to explaining what absolute territory is. I think most of the people who listen to this show know what it is, just
Mhm.
sort of because by necessity you kind of exist in the sphere and you understand it.
I mean, I've met people who didn't know, or rather, they were like, "Are you talking about that Ken Ashford song?"
Well, I mean that song is about it.
Yeah, exactly. But they thought that was like the origin of it, and then that's not the case.
If you do not know, absolute territory is a translation of a Japanese word or a Japanese phrase, zettai ryoiki, which means, absolute territory. And it is used to refer to the area of skin between a girl's high socks, usually thigh or knee-high length, and their skirt. Just that little bit of skin there, that's the absolute territory.
It's like a real erogenous zone for certain people out there in the world, and that's why
Certain
it's
people
a trope.
out there.
It's a trope in anime now.
Certain people out there in the world. Definitely no one in this podcast.
And yep, that's why it's a thing. There are anime out there that actually really explain it in depth. So
It's serious business. It's a riff on the AT Fields from Evangelion.
Mm-hmm.
And so we had to do it because we both like
Yeah.
that show, and
Yeah.
I think we also both like thighs.
We both like thighs. I mean,
think
it's
that's
true.
That's the declaration I'm making. I don't care if you're on board or not.
You're just assuming my love of thighs.
Yeah, who doesn't like thighs? I don't understand. How could you possibly dislike thighs?
Someone out there has a few choice words for you.
His name is Jesus.
Jesus.
But yeah, so that's what our podcast is named because, and don't you ever forget that we're named after the very specific portion of skin between a woman's thigh highs and her skirt.
We had a very deep conversation about this.
I mean, to be fair, when we were brainstorming names for the podcast, there were a couple of potential ones that came up, and this one just seemed to fit best. We did consider using homodachis because we're homodachis, you and I. Homodachis
Because
for
we
life.
are.
Because we are, right. And that would also have been kind of a fun play on words, but I think the current sort of vibe we have with the Absolute Territory podcast and coming up with a new AT every week is kind of fun. Plus,
It
our
is
first
fun.
episode was about Evangelion, and
Yes.
how could you talk about anime without talking about Hideaki Anno's Wild Ride, Neon Genesis Evangelion?
It was a must.
It's a must. It's a must. One day we'll see that 3.0 plus 1.0 movie. One day.
Oh my god, don't remind me of my suffering.
By then, Anno will have been replaced by Cyber Anno. The only difference is that he's made of metal. He's just as depressed.
No, it's sad.
I'm sorry. It's just the way of things. It's just the general trajectory of how that goes. Well, this week we're going to be talking about the spring 2018 season.
Yeah, to hold us over until Evangelion comes out.
Oh, buddy, it's going to take a little bit more than spring 2018.
I know.
But it's okay. Until then, we have Darling in the Franxx to tide us over.
Shut up! I don't want this pilot anime.
I hear, I did see a screen cap, and it looked like there was a boy in the down position of the doggy style. So
Really?
I think maybe we got two boys in a mecha together.
Are you sure that they didn't just like shove him down there like?
Yeah, but that'd be good too, right? Like,
No! Consent.
no, I mean, obviously, they're consensual. You have to consensual to do the robot gatai merge fusion. It's a conversation, except the conversation is sex. But I mean,
Well,
like, if the boy is in the receiving end of the pilot, then whatever. I'm down. There's something subversive to be dug up there, by which I mean we're gonna have to watch it at some point.
No.
You can't get away from it. We have to watch it.
But can we not? Can we continue avoiding it?
No. If you haven't guessed, we haven't watched Darling in the Franxx, but it's just more Darling in the Franxx. So I'm guessing if you're
continued, rather.
we haven't continued past episode like 4, because I'm really tipping our hand like that. But I'm sure if you want to watch it, you're already watching it. Like, I don't think there's anything I need to say about it until
people who are fans of it are already continuing to watch it, whereas people like us are like dragging our feet or not watching it at all.
But to be fair, I don't know what it is, but sometimes I just fall off of things for no reason. Like I couldn't finish Little Witch Academia, which isn't because it was bad. It was just because I didn't watch it.
Yeah, I really want to hop back on it and watch it because that is actually something I'm way more willing to watch than Darling in the Franxx.
Yeah, but we gotta watch it, so.
No!
Well,
I don't know. Yeah. I don't think there's anything that show can do at this point that will redeem it for me if it's already gone this far in it and I'm not happy with it. I don't know.
I'm still holding out. We'll see how it goes.
Okay.
Obviously, we have not been watching Darling in the Franxx, but we have been watching a ton of other stuff.
Yes.
Or at the very least, we started a bunch of stuff and we're going to continue some of it.
Yes. As we do.
So obviously, like the two continuing series are the new Boku no Hero season, the new season of My Hero Academia, which is still good. This is, I think, one of the arcs that I like a lot. So I'm kind of looking forward to seeing it animated.
It seems cool.
There's like a really cool fight scene that happens.
I like them fights.
Also, I do appreciate that, and really, it's just me waiting until we get to the best part of My Hero Academia, which is when they introduce my boy Mirio, who is the best character, period.
Okay, I'll keep a lookout.
He looks like Tintin, but he has the personality of a golden retriever who is also a hero.
That sounds cute.
He's so pure and he's so dedicated to being a hero, and he's got a
Oh.
fucking wacky ass power, and it's great.
Okay, I'll be ready.
So when that comes out, we're gonna watch it together, and you're gonna be like, "Wow, that's such a good boy. You were right. You were right." And I'm gonna be like, "Yep,
Yep.
that's the best boy right there. That's best boy Mario." But yeah, I'm mostly just waiting till then. But I do like this arc. I do like the introduction of a little boy who's like, "Heroes are dumb. My parents were heroes and they died."
Oh yeah, Kota. Yeah, they're starting off the season interestingly. Like it started off with like a lot of training for the kiddos, and then they introduced this kid as just like heroes and villains are stupid. You want to be a hero, you're stupid, and now he's in trouble with the villains when the villains attack.
Right. I will say one of the better elements to the show in general is its ability to introduce interesting conflicts, and this is kind of like we get it to some extent in the first like 2 seasons. You know, there's obviously like, oh, I'm quirkless. What am I gonna do? Oh, now I have a quirk, but like I don't know how to use it, right? And those are interesting in and of themselves. But it's when you start to get to like villains like Stain, where it's like, oh, this is a whole like ideology that this dude holds, right? Which is super interesting. And I'm not gonna spoil it, but there's some other villains that come later down the line, especially the most recent one, which are just amazing, like straight up awesome, way up my alley. I love it.
Yeah, I do find like the moral dilemmas way more compelling. Like, yeah, of course we want to see like, you know, Deku and all the kids succeed. There's always going to be that overarching like reason to watch, but then they get into some real like stuff that they have to deal with like as they grow into their own and, you know, become adults. Is like they have to deal with adult decisions.
Man, Renu, when we get to the part that I'm talking about, you're gonna be like, "Oh no, what do I do?" You can make that noise exactly.
Okay.
It's so good. It's so good. I can't wait. You should just read the manga.
I can't wait for the noise.
You should just read the manga at some point and then get back to me.
No. Listen, I suffered a lot this weekend watching Devilman Crybaby.
Well, I still need to watch that.
You haven't watched it yet?
No, I haven't. I hear a guy ejaculates to the ceiling.
I mean, yes, there's a lot to this series, but I can't give any of it away. I just think that you should watch it all the way to the end and then tell me about it.
Okay, that's fair. Well, I don't have to tell you about it. We can just talk about it on the podcasto.
Yes, watch it for the podcasto soup.
I'll watch it for the podcast. Okay. Yeah, no, Boku no Hero, it's more Boku no Hero, and that's like the same thing I'm gonna say about Shokugeki, which we haven't actually started, but I mean, it's just Shokugeki. Like it's
more Shokugeki.
It's more Food Wars. Like
yeah,
so more people cooking, more food orgasms, all that delicious goods.
Yeah, I mean they follow the manga pretty closely anyway, so you know.
Right. It's like it's exactly what it is, and if you like it, you'll watch it, and if you don't, you can just skip it.
Yep.
But yeah,
like Darling in the Franxx.
Well, okay. We're still gonna watch it, though.
No!
I'm gonna make you watch it, though.
You're gonna have to make me.
Yeah, you're gonna have to watch it, though.
Anyway, we also watched Persona 5, the animation. Yeah, it was actually pretty good. Like, it wasn't like P4 Golden animation quality, which is good because they did not do a great job with that. But
no. It's also not. It's also not like, or I will say basically it is kind of like watching the cutscenes in Persona 5.
Yes.
Consider that both your warning and your endorsement.
I mean, the game itself, like, if you put all the cutscenes together, it probably would equate to a whole season of anime length, right?
I don't know. I don't remember. Maybe. The thing about it is, the animation is pretty okay. I think the thing about it is it photographs really well, but it doesn't look incredible in motion necessarily. It just
Right.
kind of looks like an anime, right?
Yeah.
Like it as far as I can say about Persona 5 the animation, it is Persona 5 but in an animation. Like it is what
Yeah.
it says on the tin.
Yeah. It is exactly what you expect. And we had a friend who was watching with us who asked, like, is it gonna be like bad for me to watch because I haven't actually seen much of the game? And we were like, no, it's basically gonna be like all the cutscenes put together in a cohesive manner, and it was.
Yeah, you can
So.
you can watch this instead of playing the game. Just know
Yeah.
that you're gonna get things like really hard and fast, and it's not
Yeah.
gonna make a ton of sense because you
Yeah.
don't have time to process anything. Because
Right.
they're like boiling a 120-hour game into a 24 episode anime.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
Is it 24 episodes?
I think it's like 24.
Okay. Yeah. So.
At least it's not 12.
Yeah, then we probably wouldn't even meet Haru. We would just skip over her entirely.
Nope, Haru doesn't exist in this.
Yeah.
How unfortunate. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I'd have to watch the rest of it to see how it compares, but like really the long and short of it is exactly what you would expect of
Yes.
an animation adaptation of the game.
Yeah.
Like it's not
So-
stellar, but it's not
Yeah, exactly.
it's not bad.
Yeah, I wouldn't expect anything spectacular like the reputation of the game. It just is the game in anime form, and you would think that it's super spectacular, but I mean, game concepts don't really translate 100% to anime and vice versa, so just
Yeah.
go in with that caveat.
There's just a lot of things where you can't expect some things to translate over, especially not like the investment that you get in the characters by interacting with them, right? Like you don't get
Yeah.
that in the anime.
Yeah.
And to have that in an anime would require basically like rewriting how it works.
Yeah.
And how well you do that really determines how well the adaptation goes.
Mm-hmm.
So, in a lot of ways, like you're not gonna feel as attached to the characters necessarily as somebody who played the game. But I mean,
Right.
everyone derives different kinds of attachment anyway. So,
Mm-hmm.
at the end of the day, your mileage may vary.
Mm-hmm.
Period.
It's a good way to put it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So next we have Fotaku ni Koi wa Muzukashii, which is a manga that Soup and I both adore.
Fucking love this
to
manga.
bits. It's so good. If you have a chance, if you were to choose between watching the anime or reading the manga, highly recommend reading the manga. But the anime is good too.
I mean, I'll say the same thing about this too. It's an anime adaptation of the manga.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and the manga works very well in its format, right? Because it was made for being a manga, and so having it translate over to an anime, like they had to like slow the pacing down like a lot, and then I feel like the episodes get a little bit better as it proceeds. Like I felt like episode 1 was like meh, and then episode 2 is like, oh, okay, we're getting there, and episode 3 is like, yeah. But yeah, it takes a while for it to get the ball rolling. But it's because like there isn't a whole lot of the manga out that I think they had to slow it down quite a bit.
Yeah, I would also tend to agree. I think that the pacing of it is by necessity slower. I will say I think that to some extent it's because the manga itself leaves a lot of blanks that the anime can fill them in.
Yeah.
To its detriment or not.
Mm-hmm.
It does feel like it isn't as well paced as the manga is.
Mm-hmm.
And I think this is just a general trend with anime that try to use the anime to flesh out like what happens in the story. And it's like, well, we don't really need this. Like there's a reason that there's nothing between here and there. Like I wish
exactly.
I wish the editing was a little sharper, but it's an anime adaptation of a manga I love, so I'm gonna like it. Like
yeah,
it's
exactly.
cute.
I'm the same. It's like the quality of the anime, if I had to be like less biased about it, isn't great. Like if I
It's possible.
did not read the manga beforehand and love it so much and just watch the anime, I'd be like, it's okay, right? Like,
Yeah.
it's pretty mediocre. But just because the manga is so good, I'm like, I'm gonna watch this anime. I'm gonna freaking finish it.
Yeah, there's a lot of I think there's a lot of like anime adaptations of manga, especially like
Mm-hmm.
lesser known ones that
Mhm.
tend to just get shafted in terms of like budget and production quality.
Yeah.
I would say that it is passable as
Mhm.
an anime. It's just not great.
Yeah, and I mean the fact that it exists as an anime at all is something significant, right? Because
Right.
like it's like a web comic type of manga, right? It's just like,
Something like that.
somebody
I don't
just
know.
uploaded this, online, like as a hobby, I think, and then it became something humongous.
I mean, listen, it's about nerds, and it's
Yeah.
about nerds who are fucking adults fucking.
Yeah. Hang on. It's not that graphic.
No, it's not that graphic, but I'm correct.
It's about adults dating, and they're very cute because they are different types of nerds. So one is
And
a
they're
gaming
railing
nerd,
each other.
and one of them is a fujoshi. And the main couple, first of all, Soup, they hardly even hold hands or kiss or anything. Okay, there's a significant lack of any lovey-dovey, touchy there.
You look at
And then
the other
the
couple.
the other
you-
two though.
I was gonna say, you look at that other couple, and you tell me that they're not just like straight up having. Okay, no, I'm not. I'm done with this joke.
yeah.
It's. I'm too sick to land this joke. But yes, it is good. It's cute.
It's good.
It's really cute. It's not graphic at all. It's also just. It's about older people, and that's a demographic that we really don't get to see enough in anime. And they're dating, and they're complaining about adult worries like working overtime and shitty work, and they're complaining about how people are like, "Oh, nerds" or whatever. It's cute. It's very charming. And even if you find some problems with the pacing, I think the general concept and the everything else about it will like tide you over. Because like I think whatever they didn't put into the budget for the animation, they put into the budget for voice actors.
Oh yeah, that's what I was thinking too. Because the voice actors are on point, right?
Well, because the secondary couple is Tomokazu Sugita and Miyuki Sawashiro.
Yes.
So like something there is like okay.
Yes. So they definitely carry it, which is great because the characters are the carrying point of the show, like the series in general.
Yeah, they're the heart and soul of it. And also,
Mm-hmm.
Hanako is voiced by Miyuki Sawashiro, and she's got glasses, and she's my big favorite because of all of those things. There's a Venn diagram of character things that I like. Voiced by Miyuki Sawashiro is one of them, whereas glasses is another one of them. This character's right in the middle of them.
I love how shameless she is about her shipping.
She's so good.
Her cosplay is really good. And how much she teases her boy.
There's also another circle of this Venn diagram that's like office ladies, and she just falls in between all of them.
Oh, yeah. There you got the Holy Trinity. In your pocket.
Stolaiku Don. Strike Zone.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry. That's it. I'm done. I'm done gushing.
Soupy is like the office worker otaku.
Give me my office workers. I demand more office workers. Give me my working adults. If they don't have a salary, what's the point? No, I do love anime and manga about older demographics because I feel like they aren't represented enough, which is weird because like I'm still a schoolboy, so like
I mean I identify with these people a lot, so as a working girl.
It's obviously not that I'm like identifying with these people necessarily, but like there's just something about it where like I'm sick of seeing teenagers.
Yeah, because I mean it's like overexposure, right?
I'm over teenagers. Give me people worrying about their 401ks. You know what it is? It's wish fulfillment and fantasy where I'm just like, I wish that I could be a working, sustainable adult who could afford to live in an apartment just by working at a company.
Yeah.
Right? It's just like I wish that I could make a living wage.
Yeah, and then also like use that to fund your otaku ways.
Right, exactly. That's the dream. That's the dream.
Yeah, it is the dream.
That reminds me. Someone
Huh.
donated to our podcast. And I know that you know this, but nobody else knows this. And I want to give a shout out to that person. I'm not going to say your name because, you haven't given us permission to say your name. But
Yeah, that's confidential.
we know that you're out there and we appreciate you greatly. Thank you for
Yeah.
your donation like 2 or 3 months ago. It was a long time ago. And it just sort of slipped my mind until now.
Oh my god! Like So you were the only one that saw it, and then you told me about it like weeks after, I think.
Yeah, I totally forgot to mention it.
It's okay. Well, if they're still listening, which I hope they are, thank you.
To be fair, I was also sort of just in shock. And this happens anytime someone is willing to give me money for something that I do. I'm just like, really? That's worth money?
Yeah, I would have been shocked as well that people would give us any kind of attention or money for our podcast or whatever. Like us holding a conversation about the things we love.
I mean, it's fair.
It's fair. I mean, they're allowed to do what they want, so we're not going to say no. We're just going to be surprised every time.
You're gonna be shocked. I mean,
Yeah.
really, what you're doing is you're just funding my coffee habits, which as a college student, you are literally saving my life. Just consider that.
You could have just said like they were funding your Adobe suite or whatever, and that would have been more viable.
You're also funding my my Adobe subscription, which is really pricey.
It's so pricey. Listen, I had to pay full price, you student.
I can't believe that you actually like bought Adobe.
I wish I could keep it forever, but I have to pay that much every year because Adobe is allowed to do that because everyone needs their programs.
Yeah, it's terrible. I've grown to rely upon Adobe Audition to edit this podcast, and now if I'm ever forced away from it, I will die. I will perish into oblivion.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, we would probably be able to like make Audacity work because lots of people make Audacity work. It's just like we're spoiled now.
Yeah, I mean, I'm spoiled. Listen, one of my friends makes a podcast in Audacity, and the amount of the amount of absolute witchery that he has to do to make that program work is honestly horrifying to me. I'm a lazy person. I don't have a lot of time, and I don't want to do it.
Yeah.
I just want to do it easy town.
Just want to easy street.
Just want to go easy street. I say as if I don't actually put work into the I put work into the podcast. This thing takes a lot of time to edit.
You have to edit out your sickness now.
Well, I'm going to edit out some of the sickness so that you don't get all my cyber cooties.
Yes, please. Listen, we talked about this and how you invade people's ears.
Yeah, no, I mean...
with your germs, so...
Well, you say that as if that's not what it's like when I just start talking normally. Where it's just like, every time I open my mouth, it is an invasion of someone's ears. Nobody asked for my voice to be there, but here it is.
Yeah, but now they get sick from it, so it's like a double whammy.
Yeah. It's unfortunate that the illness that I have this time is so concentrated in my sort of like sinus/throat area, and it's like very phlegmy because it definitely affects my inflection and how I sound, and that's not great. I don't like that.
It's okay. You'll be better by the next time we record, and it'll be fine.
Yeah.
Like, you came down with this really quickly. It felt like to me anyway.
Well, I actually had it for a bit. You just couldn't hear it as badly when we were doing anime yesterday.
Oh. I mean, no, I heard it yesterday, but before that, I didn't hear it at all. But then again, there were a couple days when we didn't talk, so... I don't know.
Oh,
Get better soon.
No, I remember now. That was because we talked to each other, and then my roommate was like, one of my roommates was gone for that weekend, and the other one was sick, and then I caught his sickness, and now we're both sick.
Ah.
Yeah, that's what
See,
happened.
that's why you caught it quickly.
Well, yeah,
Someone
it's because I live
gave
in
you-
a big old germ box that germinates nothing but super viruses.
It's like an airplane, but you
It's
live
like,
in it
It's
forever.
like an airplane, but I live in it forever. Okay, well, I don't think we're talking about dating otakus anymore.
No, let's move on.
It's a very cute anime, and you should watch it
It's
if you
great.
like romance and people who aren't literal children.
Yes. Though they're like adult children.
Also, because they're adults, they're allowed to drink on television, and that's refreshing.
Yeah. While playing Nintendo.
Every time I watch that, I want a beer. I'm just like, B. I've been refraining,
All right.
I've been refraining from drinking because I'm sick. I want my body to
Yeah.
recover. I miss it. I want a beer. B.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh.
Listen, it's a refreshing beverage.
Yeah.
An ice cold beer. It's so hot, Renu. It is so warm here. It is so warm here in my big germination box that I call a home. The absolute haven for disgusting bacteria that is a dorm.
You'll be okay.
I'll be okay.
So your immune system will be stronger when you emerge victorious.
You know what? I actually think my immune system's pretty strong because I don't get sick that often.
Oh,
It's
so
actually
this is just like the super derbs,
right.
that are
Like
getting
it's
to you.
actually a miracle that I've gotten sick twice in the last 4 months.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's weird.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, that's just because I live in a fucking dorm hall. That's why. That's aside from the point. We watched
Mhm.
Golden Kamui, or we're watching Golden Kamui, which is, if you don't know, it is a historical treasure hunt adventure set in the Meiji era, which is from 1868 to 1912 in Japan, which is basically just following the Russo-Japanese War, and of course, around right before World War One, and then of course much before World War Two.
Mm-hmm.
It is about a soldier who comes back from the front lines named Sugimoto the Immortal, because no matter how many times you try to kill this guy, he don't die. He's like Rasputin, but a Japanese man.
Yeah, that's basically it.
Which is, I mean, I joke about this, but like the amount of shit that he goes through is absolutely wild. Because you've only watched a couple episodes, but he gets stabbed and shanked in all manner of ways. He gets his head bashed against things. He fights multiple bears. He gets shot in the head and survives.
I'm already astonished just watching a couple episodes. Like there's like really strong like Revenant vibes, right? Because they're like in the snow, in the dead forest or whatever, and they're like doing their treasure hunt thing, and then this boy has to fight everything.
He really does.
And then he has a small girl as his partner, and they decide to work together. And she, saves his butt. He saves her butt, that kind of thing, whatever. But like, for real, it's like survival wilderness, the anime.
Yeah, in a lot of ways, it's very much like that, because it's about the sort of northern Japanese area before it was, or in the process of sort of like, I don't know if I would say colonization, but like that, I would say colonization, right? Like because it is probably the piece of Japanese popular media that has the best and most accurate portrayal of the Ainu people, which, if you don't know, that's the people that were displaced by the native people to the Japanese islands that were displaced by the Japanese as we know them now.
Yeah.
And they basically lived all along Japan up until like where it technically becomes Russia. And then Russia was like, hey, that's ours. So they took it from Japan, and then Japan fought back. And that was the Russo-Japanese War. There you go. There's your 12-second history.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Professor
So
Suit.
it is about Ainu gold. So there was just a bunch of gold stashed up by the Ainu people to fight against the Japanese government. Basically, they want to use the gold to buy weapons, but only like one person knows where it is, and he had it. He had the treasure map tattooed onto a bunch of people that were prisoners on like death row, not death row, but like in Abashiri, which is like a high security max security prison at the time. And then they escape, of course, and someone, if they find all these people with these tattoos, they'll be able to decode it. Except the plot twist that you get in the first episode or two is that basically the lines mean that you're supposed to skin the people and use their skin to use as a treasure map.
Yeah, they don't connect correctly unless you skin the person and lay down the map flat, right? Like you can't just copy it off of someone's back and have it work like that. You have to skin them. And
Yeah.
so yeah, so like it's a very brutal anime. It's really cool if you have the stomach for it. But very, very gory.
It is, yeah, it's really gory.
yeah.
They don't pull any punches when it's like people skinning other people cutting into each other's faces, like people's faces being blown off. In the manga, it's like you see every frame of it, and in the anime, it's probably pretty similar. They so far have not really pulled any punches with it.
Yeah, they haven't.
I'm just waiting for when a bear gets to actually maul a person on screen, because, and here's like my one big sort of caveat about the show is that all of the animals are CG, but like, but it's like really weird because the bear is like really realistically textured. It's like a bear that would come out of like a 2018 video game. Except
it looked like a fluffy bear.
It's like a fluffy bear, but it totally doesn't fit in the backdrop of like the anime, right?
Yes.
It just looks out of place because it's obviously a CG bear. And then the wolf comes in, and the wolf is like a different kind of CG where it's not as detailed.
It's like a 2D CG, right? And then the bear's like a 3D CG, and then they fight, and it looks so bizarre.
It's so weird. It's so weird. That's like my one big worry about the show is the use of the CG for the bear. I get why they did it, but I kind of wish that they hadn't.
Yeah.
Yeah, but everything else about the show is pretty good, I would say.
Yeah.
It's a pretty faithful adaptation of the manga in all the right ways, I would say.
I really like it. I'm so excited to see the story, like how it goes from here, because I haven't read the manga at all. I've only seen
Renu,
like the panels that you showed me. So
you're in for such a ride. This, like, Golden Kamuy is probably one of the most engaging stories that I've read in a long time. It's so good, and it has like all the right plot turns and twists.
Yeah,
and it's just thrilling. Like it's one big thriller. It's very exciting to watch.
I mean, so far, like episode to episode has been really, really good. So I'm excited.
Plus, it's probably the best portrayal of Ainu people that we're gonna get in anime. It's really cool.
Yeah.
Oh, it's very gory. It's very exciting. It's also very homoerotic. Like it's obvious that in the off time, whoever draws this manga is like a bara enthusiast.
Oh.
Because like there's a lot
wait.
There's a lot of shots and scenes where there's just a bunch of shirtless and or like pantsless dudes and lots of dicks going in snow. You never see them, mind you, but it's always implied.
Okay. Okay.
But there's just lots of situations where the dudes end up naked or wrestling and or both.
Well, can't wait for that to be animated.
Listen, it's a good time. It's a good time. That's all I'm saying.
CG bears and people naked wrestling.
Oh, I can't wait. Some of the men look very odd. Some of the men look very attractive. Also, in some of the latest chapters, they call one of the characters, like, basically they just call him thick. It's just like, hey, you put on too much weight, and he jiggles. His butt jiggles. He's thick with 2 C's.
Thick with the extra C.
Yeah. So that's Golden Kamuy. I think the music's also pretty
Okay.
good for this.
Yeah.
And I don't know. It's not your everyday, I would say. Like, it's not generic at all. It's very exciting.
No, it's not.
The setting and premise is very unique, and it's executed in a way that's enjoyable to watch if you can get over the CG bear animal rules. Because, like,
I think regardless, the story is refreshing.
yeah, no, like this is a thing that you should watch regardless.
Yeah.
And speaking of things you should watch Megalobox.
Oh my gosh, Megalobox.
So Megalobox, I'm actually really excited to talk about because I don't normally like boxing anime
Yeah.
or sports anime in general.
Yeah.
But like, so what this is it is a it's basically for the 50th like anniversary of Ashita no Joe or Tomorrow's Joe, which was an immensely popular boxing manga and anime in Japan. It's very foundational to the sort of like sports and boxing genres, as well as, you know, shonen in general, I guess. But it's about a guy who boxes, right? But like he's just kind of a shithead. Like he goes to jail and then he boxes once he's out of jail. Is what happens in the original. So this is a readaptation. This is an adaptation into a sort of punk-esque, like very, very 90s inspired aesthetic, where it's kind of it's very like Cowboy Bebop. It's very Trigun.
Yes.
It's very it's almost very Akira.
Yeah,
in
like
its
the whole
aesthetic.
aesthetic. Yeah, it's like if you were to watch this anime, you would think that it was from like the 90s, right? Just like because they even use like the same like grainy, like filtery, like, you know, stuff. Like it's not like high polished HD, you know, that you would see in today's anime.
So
they purposely make it look old.
They even purposely, I feel like, lower the fidelity of it, where it feels like I'm watching something that's been like expanded from 4:3.
Yeah. And I think the way that it shines, though, by using today's technology is like during the fight scenes, right? They are able to make the fights look so fluid and impactful by doing stuff that they could use with today's technology, not like even like CG necessarily. It's just like by illustration techniques and stuff like that, that would have been really expensive to do, you know, way back when.
Yeah, it carries the heart of 90s anime as an aesthetic without betraying what all of that is about, which I think is really important. Actually, I think that Ashita no Joe is like a very important property in like, or the use of it is a very important factor in it working.
Yeah,
because it's about like the original manga was kind of the result of the kind of social upheaval that was happening in the 60s. And so Joe is like emblematic of the struggles of like the working class, right? Like he's the big underdog facing against, you know, bigger and bigger opponents. And so to have that carry over into the, you know, new adaptation is really good. And it's the reason it works, right? Because he's like basically just like a shithead boxer from the underground ring. And there's that one moment in the 3rd episode where like he gets or like that kid gets the whatever gear, right?
Yeah.
And then he puts it on him and he's like, oh wow, he's got the prototype boxing gear now. He's so cool.
Yeah, he looked cool.
And then he uses it and it breaks.
It breaks immediately.
It breaks immediately. That's when I knew the show was legit. Because I was like, oh, that's it. You did it.
Yeah.
That's how you do.
Yeah, I loved it. I'm so excited because it hits all the good notes of, you know, like sports anime or whatever, you know, like that kind of thing without like hitting too many of the downfalls yet. Like it might get into it later on, but right now it's like it's hitting all the high points for me, at least.
No, yeah. I would tend to agree. I think that because it's using the basis of Ashita no Joe as its like core, it inherently has all of the kind of nice nostalgic elements of sports anime, because like this is where they originate, right? But
Yeah.
a lot of times I feel like in adaptations it can feel like if something is adapted uh after the fact, it can feel like, oh, you're just copying all the tropes, even though it's like, no, this is the progenitor of all those tropes. This is what happened
Right.
with John Carter,
Mm.
where John Carter is like, in a lot of ways it birthed a lot of the popular ideas of pulp science fiction or whatever, or like sci-fi movies. But because it was like a novel that we adapted into a movie only recently, sometime in the last 6 years, I think, maybe 7, 8, I don't know. I still think it's 2011 right now, honestly.
Sometime in the 2000s.
Sometime in the
it was made into
2000s,
a movie.
it was adapted,
Yeah.
and it was basically just panned because everybody was just like, I mean, we've seen this all before. You're right, you have seen that all
Right.
before, but that's because it made that, right?
It was the origin. Yeah, it turned out to not be a super good movie because people were like, well, the story's obvious, and it's like, well, yeah, because it's the reason.
Yeah, but
it's the
I
reason
feel
for
like
everything.
in a kind of interesting twist, like Ashton no Joe doesn't feel like that. It feels very sincere in its portrayal. It feels very much like an homage both to the source material, like a respectful homage too, right, to the source material, which obviously I've never read because it's old as fuck.
Yeah.
But it's a foundational piece of media in Japan, and
Yeah.
it's also kind of an homage to like the way that things were, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like the 90s. And I mean, this isn't necessarily just like kind of like a weird like nostalgia trip, right? Like everything was better in the 90s, right? Like obviously not. Some of the most impactful things to me personally have come out in the last couple years.
Sure.
But there's a lot of love, I think, put in, and a lot of like care and attention put into this adaptation that makes it work.
Yeah.
In a lot of ways, it's like Redline, right? Where Redline is, and I'm gonna make you watch it at some point.
Okay.
But it's a movie that's very concerned about like old and new and the ways that they kind of intermingle with each other. This is another concern of this. It's a concern that comes up in Rakugo, right? Where it's like when a new form comes around or a new way of doing things comes around, like how do we work around preserving the old, right? Like where do we draw that line?
Mm-hmm.
That's it. That very same struggle is present in Redline, which is an animated movie, but it's all animated by hand. And Rennie, you have to watch this movie because like you're gonna see some sequences where you're like, that was animated by hand, and you're gonna like cry. You're gonna cry your eyes out.
Oh man.
You'll be like, I can't even imagine the amount of blood that went into that. I think Megalobox is very much the same way, right? Like it's returning to that sort of, it's evoking that era of the 90s, where everything was like this kind of gritty, hard work, everything's animated by hand, etc., etc. While also evoking the imagery from that at that time period, this sort of juxtaposition of, because we're like in the age of like cyberpunk, right? It's like that. It's like very sort of cyberpunk inspired, but not at the same time. It's about the working class. It's about struggling in poor financial situations, and it's about the underdog. And ultimately, like, it plays very well because it's like the underdog here is the person who comes from like the shitty low tech, everything's scrapped together, whereas like big boss Yuri. Big Boss Yuri has like Yuri. Big Boss Yuri has fucking techno arms that are made of cyber magic.
Yeah, man. He looks slick, but also you really want to take him down.
I think everything that Megalobox does works really well. I'm really excited to see where it goes because
Me too.
It's only like 13 episodes, and I really want to know, or I just want to watch it. Actually, like obviously, the way that it's gonna pan out is he's gonna win, right? But you're already rooting for the character. You already care enough about him, because he's like, Yeah.
He's in a crappy situation where he has to he gets paid to throw fights basically, and no one wants to be paid to be a loser, right? Like it's like it hurts your pride and kind of demeans you every time.
Yeah.
And so like you end up wanting to root for this guy and actually see him fight at his full power and win because he is a good fighter.
Oh, that's
And,
also
yeah.
why it reminds me of Redline, because that's the same plot for Redline.
Oh.
Where he's basically, it's the age of like hyperdrives and spaceships, except there's still assholes racing cars. And this guy is basically paid to fix matches, and then he's like, "No, I want to drive for real."
Yeah. That makes sense.
They have the same heart to them,
Mm-hmm.
and that's, I think, one of the most important things when you emulate or adapt a work like this is you have to get the spirit across, and they do really effectively. They in a lot of ways, it feels like I'm back watching like cartoons in the 90s where I'm like, yeah, get him, Joe.
Yes. Joe!
Go, Joe!
Go, Joe! Beat up Shark Boy and Hippopotamus Boy.
Hippopotamus Iwasaki. So Ashita Joe basically pioneered the best way of making names ever for anything. It's just pick an animal, pick a Japanese surname, name. Done.
But then there's Joe.
And then there's Joe. Well, there's a very important thing which they touch on very subtly. Or maybe not subtly, but like I picked up on it at least.
Okay.
Where the coach, I don't remember his name because I don't know if they ever say his name. I'm sure they do.
They do. I just don't remember it.
I just don't remember it. No, but like I think the coach says something to the effect of like, people like us, we don't get to think about tomorrow, which is like a very important thing when you're like juggling with themes of poverty and economic disparity.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
It's like, in truth, people who are in financial positions like that don't get to think about tomorrow. They can only think about what's happening right now.
Yeah.
And so I think that's really important. Like that's a very important line to me, even though it was just kind of like a one-off. And that to me carries the spirit of the work. And obviously the music is just amazing. Oh, it's
all
so
the
good.
Sound effects and the music were so like perfect for every single moment that they played. It was just like, oh my god, I feel the punches. Oh my god, I feel the emotions.
Yeah, and this is very much in line with the kind of like late 90s, early 2000s vibe they're going for. Like this is obviously something you would watch growing up on like Toonami as a Westerner, right? Where the music is very hip hop. It's very kind of grungy. It's kind of it's harsh, right? But like in a way that is evocative of the 90s, right? It's like it's not as, I think, not as jazzy, right, as like Cowboy Bebop, but obviously it comes from the same kind of lineage, right?
Right. And
this has a lot to do with like things like Samurai Champloo. A lot of
it's very similar.
A lot of things like that. Yeah, I super dig Megalobox. I didn't think I would, honestly, because I don't like boxing anime, but
same.
Really, every aspect of it is just so well done, and it's it takes me to an earlier time, and I'm really appreciative of it. It feels it has a lot of heart to it.
It's highly, highly polished, and it's obviously made by people who love that era and wanted to revive it in a way that would be approachable for like even for like kids nowadays who like might not have watched any of the 90s anime or like kind of only know it by name, right? Like they trimmed a lot of the fat or like a lot of the stuff that would have dragged out the animes from back then, and because they have that 12 episode whatever limit, I think it works for them, at least so far. I'm interested in seeing how the pacing carries on going forward, but right now it feels perfect the way it is.
Yeah, I hope it continues like this because it's very engaging as is. I really enjoy this. Really, I think it's something special. Something special.
Yes, it is. All right, so next we have Hina Matsuri, which was one that you were super excited about because you follow the manga, right?
I read the manga for this, and it's so good. This is it's exactly the kind of like grounded, absurd humor that I love.
I love it too.
It's okay. So Hinamatsuri is about basically a yakuza guy,
Mhm.
like an actual yakuza member,
Yes.
who of the modern day yakuza, not of like the
Yeah. Not old school.
not old school like 80s 90s yakuza, but like
Yeah.
he's going around in his like nice suit in a car.
Mm-hmm.
But then a psychic child appears in his apartment one day, and then he basically just accidentally adopts her. And,
Well, he kind of more like gets threatened into adopting her.
I mean, yes, she does threaten him with her psychic powers.
Yeah, she basically breaks everything he loves until he caters to her, and then things work out.
Yeah. It's basically just about the sort of antics that these characters get up to, and then the people around them. And you're gonna see like more and more things get just like out of hand.
Yeah.
But I love this because it is everything that I like. It's kind of like this like found family father narrative,
Mm-hmm.
which of course I love. I love anime where there's good dads. Love me some good dad anime. Everything but
It's like-
Usagi drop. Get the fuck out of here. You don't deserve to be in this list. Should have thought about that.
He's like one of these guys who would like probably would never have a child voluntarily, and so one gets forced upon him, and he turns out to be an actually okay dad. Like he
Yeah.
actually ends up caring for this child a lot.
I really like the interactions that they have and the way that they kind of naturally build up a rapport. Like
Yeah.
the dynamic of it is different from a lot of other kind of found father or like bumbling father narratives,
Right.
where it's because they're like riffing off each other and like joking or
Mhm.
making jokes to us, the audience, about each other.
Mhm.
It plays really well, and it's like really fun. I really like I really like the fact that it's just plain charming, right? Like it's
Mhm.
kind of hard for me to explain in words why it works, like more than just it's funny and it's executed well, and the
Yeah,
characters are
it
charming.
right. Like I think the characters are so strong that you could just let these characters live their lives and things are gonna like collide and happen in a really funny way, in a way that will make us watch it. And like there's not really any bars held back. It's just like they just let these characters run loose and then they do some crazy stuff and it's really funny. And then there's this good mix of like hilarity and like heartwarming moments and then like absurdity and then I love it, and I love the way that it's animated too. It's actually a really pretty anime as well.
Yeah, the animation's actually really good.
Mm-hmm.
I would have to look up who does this, but the actual animation is it's by Studio Feel,
Oh,
who did among other things the Yahare Ore no Seishun Love Kami. So
okay.
yeah, like just as I thought, my love comic or whatever. What do they call it in English? Snafu? My love comic snafu or whatever. I don't remember it.
I didn't watch this series.
Oh shit. You didn't?
No.
Brand new. This is one of my favorite anime of all time.
I insulted you.
Yeah. No, this and okay. One day I will make you watch this and we will talk about this because I have a lot of feelings about this, but
Okay.
that's neither here nor there. Okay, this studio does some pretty good stuff. But they also animated Kiss X Sis, so I don't know.
Yeah, they did Kiss X Sis and Yosuga no Sora, so I don't know. This you're not giving me a great.
Hey, wait. We should be clear. Questionable content though it may be, well animated they are.
They also did Tsuki ga Kirei.
Okay, that one I don't know about. That one was okay, solidly okay. Yeah, I think this studio is pretty hit or miss. kind of.
Yeah.
But the animation in this is actually really good. The pacing
This one's a hit.
This one's a hit. The pacing is really good too. And
Yes.
and I can't like overstate how important this is, where pacing is one of those things where it's so difficult to get right because there's no real tangible way of doing it aside from feeling it. And and it's one of those things where pacing, especially comedy, has a rhythm to it that you have to be able to understand it to utilize it. Like you can stumble into it like accidentally, but you know that's it's trying to capture bottle lightning, right? Like it's you need to understand pacing, and it's not something that's like easy to do because the only way to do it is just to know, and the only way to know is just to consume.
To consume, but also to produce. Like you have to have the experience behind it to know. Yeah.
But yeah, because like if you're able to get pacing down, like timing, rhythm, that feeds into action, it feeds into drama, it feeds into comedy, and that's honestly why this show works so well, and why the manga itself works really well, because it's paced impeccably, where it has a ton of really wacky, funny moments, and interspersed there are moments that are so heartwarming or sincere or heartbreaking, so emotionally charged that like they just hit you. Like anytime this manga kind of does anything, it hits you in some way or another. And anytime the show does, because the show is well paced, in response, it follows that. It follows that rhythm, and it has the ability and capacity to deliver those emotional beats in a satisfying way. Like that's why in the first episode when Hina's like, "Oh, you're not gonna make me just like kill people?" She's like, "Okay, I'll do it for you." You're like, "Oh, you're gonna go beat up?
You're willing to kill?
You're gonna go beat up a bunch of guys for your new dad?" or in the third episode when I think her name is Anzu. It's been a little while since I read the manga, but Anzu learns how to be part of this like homeless community. Where like that's really heartwarming too. And trust me when I say those moments don't stop. Like there are lots of absurd, really silly moments, and there are a lot of also really sincere, heartwarming, and heartbreaking moments. It is a show, or it is a manga and subsequently a show that does really well in making you feel things. Like it delivers on all of its emotional beats in a really satisfying way.
Yeah, I love it. I'm really excited to see more of it. It's one to keep an eye out for if you like anime in general, right? Like, because it has something for everyone. It feels like it has some like really good familial moments. It has some really good happy, funny moments. It has some really good touching moments, like all that stuff. And it's about Yakuza.
Listen, I'm starting a new genre of media. It's called domestic Yakuza.
Great.
Yeah. In this category are Hinamatsuri, Yakuza 6.
Yes.
And that one manga about a Yakuza guy who's just a house husband.
Okay.
It's called Goku Shufudo, The Way of the House Husband.
Okay.
Anyway, that's really good too. So that's
Great.
my new
I
genre. I've minted it. Domestic Yakuza.
I love it. I will be a fan of this genre because I already am.
Yep. And when we adapt it to the West, we'll call it the domestic Yakuza.
Oh no! Don't do this to me.
That's Hinamatsuri. It's very cute and charming and heartfelt and sincere, and really, it's probably one of the standouts from this season. Which,
yes,
I mean, I feel like in this season, like my favorites so far are Hinamatsuri and Megalobox. Golden Kamui I like, but that's just because I like the manga and because the anime is an adaptation of that.
Yeah.
And
I mean, I like Golden Kamui, having not read the manga. I think it's up there in like the top 5 for this season for me.
yeah, I think I would tend to agree. I feel the same way about Wotakoi too.
Yeah, exactly. All right, cool.
Let's talk about Maho Shoujo Ore.
This one also has a Yakuza, but it is not about a domestic Yakuza.
It's like domestic adjacent.
Yeah.
Domestic adjacent Yakuza. So the premise of this is kind of interesting. I read a couple chapters of the manga before this came out, so
Okay.
and I mean they're exactly like the anime, mind you.
Okay.
It is an interesting premise.
Yeah.
Because it is about a magical girl, except when she transforms into a buff boy.
Yes.
In a frilly dress.
Yeah, and the logic behind it is that the boy, I guess her being a buff boy is more suited for combat, but then they keep the whole magical girl aesthetic so that she's nice to look at.
So she's cute,
and then it just
obviously.
ends up being a mess.
I will say that this is I think that this is kind of the other side of the coin to the Madoka coin, where it's a different kind of deconstruction of magical girl as a genre.
Yes.
In kind of an odd, absurdist way.
Well, it's like a parody.
Yeah.
It's like straight up satire, right? Of all magical girl genre.
I think it is. Down
Yeah.
I will say, even to the like lesbian love interest.
Oh, it's so good.
Who, by the way, is my only character. She's the only character I actually like in the show.
I agree. I like her the most out of any of the cast so far. She's the most compelling for me, and she doesn't even do a whole lot up until like the most recent episodes.
I was gonna say until that happened, I was just like, eh. Like I knew it happened too, and I was just like, oh yeah.
Oh!
We've had a lot of like we've had a lot of anime this season, like a surprising amount of anime this season that have just been like, "Bwah! I love you," in like a friend way, in a sex way.
She was so clear, and then the character's like, "Oh, there's no ambiguity here at all." Yeah, I love it. I love that we could just jump straight into it.
Yeah, I will say I like the premise and the concept of it better than I like the actual
the actual execution.
The actual execution of it.
Yeah,
because
I agree.
It's kind of slow. Like it drags.
It is. I would love it. Like it is already zany and like so filled with stuff happening, and yet somehow it still feels draggy.
I don't know how it manages to like.
Yeah,
I don't know how it manages to drag when it.
I don't either, because I feel so tired. I feel tired after every episode.
All the time. But every episode feels like it takes 6 years to watch. I don't understand it.
It does. I mean, to be fair, right? When I first watched Gintama, that's how it felt for me. Was, you know, and that might be like a consequence of it being like a satire anime where it's just like, yeah, it's going to parody a lot of stuff and it's going to have a lot of crazy things happening. But then Gintama hit its flow, you know, like a couple seasons in, it hit a sweet spot, and then it's like, okay, cool, we're in. And then for this one, it's definitely in the I'm so tired after watching one episode, and nothing still makes sense. Like nothing, it's just like, why am I still watching this? But I have to keep watching it. I have to see if she gets a girlfriend, or if she gets the boy to like her. Which, by the way, the main boy love interest is in love with her magical boy form. That's another part of the premise.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, that's kind of interesting.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah,
I have to okay. So when I read this, there were only like 3 or 4 chapters out. So basically, after this episode, I'm in the dark. I have no idea what happens.
Okay.
So this will be sort of a magical journey that we undertake together. But all in all, I mean, we'll keep watching it, of course.
Yeah.
But as an actual piece of media to watch, I don't know about it.
I'm unsure about it, even though I'm really enjoying it. But I'm enjoying it in the way of like you enjoy that one real trashy anime that's just like a guilty pleasure. Yeah, that's this.
Right, I am enjoying this because it is a dumpster fire.
Yes.
It's like watching the world's slowest train crash, And if it doesn't end with the two main girls getting together, I'm gonna riot.
Yeah, I'm gonna riot too because there's nothing there for like between the main girl and the main boy. I'm like, there's a lot more for me at least going between the two girls, and like they just have a stronger connection in my opinion. And I'm rooting for
Yeah, I mean,
the best friend girl.
it feels to me a lot like kind of style over substance.
Yeah,
Where like
yeah.
the lengths that it goes to deconstruct magical girl genre
Mm-hmm.
is to the point where it's obstructing any kind of enjoyable watching experience.
Yeah, I feel like I don't know what would make it better though,
See,
right? Like I'm wondering.
here's the thing, right? And
Yeah.
this is the most baffling thing about this anime, which is
Yeah,
that as I watch this anime,
yeah.
I keep thinking to myself, where could I cut a scene? And you can't.
Yeah, you can't. Exactly.
It somehow simultaneously crams way too much and nothing at
Yes.
all into the same scene.
Yeah.
It's like I can't cut any of this mentally with my brain,
Yeah,
and yet at
Yeah.
the same time, it is a way too slow.
yeah.
Like I can't tell if that's like a sign of my weakness as a writer or just like
No,
I don't know.
I, for me, okay, now that we're talking about it, I'm thinking about it, is that it hits on a lot of things, but it never digs in very deeply into any of them, right? Like, it hits on the point where, oh, she likes this boy, but it doesn't really hit too sharply into why she likes him, other than the fact that he's, like, a good singer and she's known him since they were kids. And then I think for the most compelling part so far was when they went into the best friends, like, reasoning on why she likes this girl, which is like, when they were kids, and stuff happens there. Like, I thought that part was more compelling than the entire rest of the dang anime.
No, yeah, I would tend to agree. I think that it's a big thing about uh it's very hollow, I would say, right? Like
Yes.
I think it and I mean this is a thing that I've said a lot recently, but it doesn't really have a lot to like it doesn't have a lot of heart to it. Like it's sort of there just to be like, see how funny it is that magical girls are
exactly.
just boys and that the main love
Right.
interest boy is in love with this boy.
Right. It's so shallow.
It doesn't
right? Like
it doesn't feel like okay. I think that's what it is. It doesn't feel like it matters to me, right?
Yeah.
It's not
There's no investment.
I'm not invested in it. It's not funny enough to like laugh about.
Mhm.
It's just kind of like amusing to watch as like a dumpster fire anime.
Yeah.
It's entertaining some subversive ideas, but I don't know if it's going to do anything meaningful with them.
Yeah, that's what I'm afraid of too, is because it does have those subversive things, like, with the guy liking magical boy and then the best friend liking or the girl, right? Not the magical boy. But I don't know if it'll run anywhere with them. Like, I want it to run places with them that I'm not going to expect or that will, like, actually be meaningful. But, like, so far, and I don't know if this is, like, a consequence of it trying to set up so many things in the beginning and then it'll let the story play out. But, like, I'm worried, like, if it keeps going at the pace that it's going, it's not going to be great.
Yeah. This is a meme watch for sure.
Yeah, it's a meme watch.
I don't know. It's I think it's just unfortunate to me because I think this could have been something that was like honestly kind of special. That could have gone some amazing places, but as it stands, it doesn't seem like it's going to. I just don't care.
Yeah.
Like I just don't care. Well, that's fine.
I guess we'll see.
Yeah, we'll have to see at the end of the season how that goes.
Yeah.
Well, let's talk about something else that is interesting.
Mm-hmm.
So Hisone Tomaso-tan is it's not a short form, but it is an irregularly lengthed episode where it's like the total runtime is like 19 minutes or something. So it's like a full like 5 minutes shorter than a normal anime episode.
Oh, interesting. I didn't notice.
Yeah, no, it feels a little bit longer. It's interesting because the style is very evocative of like children's anime.
Yes.
It kind of feels like I'm watching like Yokai Watch or like
Yeah.
Pokemon. But it's obviously not meant for children. Probably
yeah, it's not.
Probably okay. So it is about a girl in the Japanese Air Force, except the Japanese Air Force is concealing the existence of dragons, which have existed all along.
Yeah.
And
the dragons transform into planes.
Okay, so I was getting there, right? The dragons transform into planes, and the pilots of the dragons have to be eaten by the dragons. So what I'm saying is, like, it is like watching one big fetish piece.
That's because you've been ruined by like fur affinity and like all these
I wish I could
that...
erase the internet from my brain so I could enjoy this show, because it's actually pretty cute. I
like this show a lot, but that's because I haven't been ruined by like vor and all that.
I think it could go some interesting places. Like, I think it could be an enjoyable watch, but I can't get over the fact that not only do you have to be vored by the dragon, you have to be vored by the dragon that then transforms into an airplane.
Yeah.
This is too much. These are way too many fetishes. This is two big, weird fetishes put into one anime, and I hate it.
But it's drawn cutely, Soup, so it can't be fetish.
She's covered in, like, bile. Like, it's not even subtle. She's like, oh, I'm gonna die in here. Oh, it's burning me. And I'm like, oh, I hate this.
Well, she's being digested, Soup.
Yeah, you're right, Renu. She is. And I fucking hate it.
I want to watch more of this anime because I don't know, it's funny.
I can't not watch more of it. I have to know.
We have to know.
I have to know. Are they for real? Are they for real? You could tell me that this isn't actually an anime like from Japan, and it is in fact like just a Japanese like web author's weird fetish piece brought to life passion project, and I would be like, well, that checks out. Yeah, that clears. That makes sense.
But I think it's fully aware of how absurd it is.
Dude, furries have so much fucking money.
What?
Ask anybody who has taken commissions on Fur Affinity ever. They will tell you that furries pay very well.
I mean, yeah, but I don't think that was the point of this anime. That's not what I'm getting from it.
I'm pretty sure that someone commissioned this anime, and they're just a very influential person with a lot of weird specific fetishes. Some people like to watch dragons eat people. Some people like to watch things turn into planes. Some people like to watch planes fuck each other.
What?
Oh my god, you didn't know about this?
No.
Oh, Renu, I have a wide, wide world to show you.
No, don't ruin anime for me.
It's not gonna ruin anime, it's just gonna ruin this anime.
No, I still like it, despite knowing about vor.
She gets bored by the dragon. You have to look at the dragon's squishy insides. I fucking hate it. So yeah,
well,
it's well animated, but if you have some very specific fetishes, you'll very highly enjoy this anime.
You'll enjoy it in a different way. If you're mostly ignorant to a lot of that kind of stuff, like I kind of intentionally shield myself from a lot of that stuff, then you'll still enjoy it. If you're like Soup and you consume everything, then you might be reminded too strongly of the dark side.
It kills me inside.
Yeah, that's that anime.
That's that anime. I wish I had never watched it, but I'm gonna have to keep watching it.
We have to keep watching it. I think it's decent.
I like how you're not sure.
I'm not sure because we've only watched a little bit.
As we keep watching, you're gonna learn more and more. It's just one big fetish piece.
If it becomes one big fetish piece, I'll be disappointed, but I'll admit that you're right.
Renu, it's already one big fetish piece.
No, I still have hope.
How could you look at a girl get bored by a dragon 3 times in one episode of an anime that's not even 19 minutes long and think to yourself, yeah, that's definitely not a fetish piece.
I still have hope. Let me have this.
It
I like the
transforms
dragon
into
looks
a
cute.
plane!
He has big old googly eyes. And the grandma gives her yogurt drinks.
Dragon fucks! Okay. Well, I'm done talking about this. If this survives until the end of the season, I'll have some more words about it.
Okay. All right. Next is Isekai Izakaya Nobu, which is another food anime.
It's also another isekai anime, but it's actually good because
Yes.
it's about a restaurant and not about a dumb adventure boy. I say this as someone who consumes an inordinate amount of isekai, like manga.
A dumb adventure.
Most of it is just so terrible and boring and
Yeah.
banal. It's just the worst.
Yeah.
And yet I can't stop reading.
You can't stop. That's how they got you.
Garbage. Yeah. It is, as far as food anime goes, it's a good food anime. As far as bar anime goes, it's a good bar anime. As far as isekai goes, it's a good isekai anime. Watch it.
It's very casual, you know, just like pop in to this restaurant, you eat food with these people or watch them eat food, and then that's it. You're done.
Yeah, I mean, it's basically like, it's really nice because actually, it's unintentionally made for Western audiences because of the isekai conceit. Because they have to explain to to all these like white dudes what like oden is.
Yeah.
And so if you don't know anything about Japanese cuisine, if you watch this, you'll come out with more knowledge about Japanese cuisine than you had coming in. So
Yeah.
that's pretty good.
They explain it all.
They're half-size episodes, so they're only like 12 minutes. And at the end of each episode, there's like a fun kind of real life segment.
Yeah. They teach you.
It's actually really funny. We actually haven't watched the second episode. I just realized. I totally forgot this because I watched the second episode, but we didn't.
Oh, you're a butt then.
At the end of the first episode, they just have like a professional celebrity chef come in and like teach you how to make a recipe.
Yeah.
And then at the end of the second episode, they just have like a TV guy go to a chicken restaurant and eat some karaage.
Oh.
That's it. That's literally it.
How does that teach me anything?
Well, it teaches you about the wonder that is chimek, which is actually the Korean term for it. I don't know what they call it in Japanese or if they have a specific word for it. But chimek is is a portmanteau of chikin
Okay.
and mekju, which is beer in Korean.
Okay.
And chimek essentially just refers to eating fried chicken and beer.
Okay. That's pretty straightforward.
Because it's a wonderful combination of joy heaven that will make your mouth feel like you're dying of goodness.
Joy heaven.
Joy heaven. Listen, you got that light, crispy skin of the chicken that leads into the juice, the like tender, juicy meat that like pours into your mouth. And because you're eating the good parts of the chicken, like the drumstick and the thighs, it is gonna like pour some fat into your mouth, and you can chew that up, and you're gonna swallow it, and then you drink the beer, and the beer will latch onto the fat in your mouth, and it'll feel really nice and refreshing.
I'm glad I already ate before this podcast.
I ate before the podcast, and I'm hungry again all of a sudden. Me, I'm always a slut for chimek. If you want to if you want to like curry my favor, all you gotta do is buy me chicken and beer.
I mean, TBH, like, I'm not actually a huge fan of either fried chicken or beer, but
How could you
even
not be a
then,
fan of fried chicken, Renu?
I'm not a huge fan. That doesn't mean I won't like it when I eat it. I'm just not like an overly huge fan of like deep fried foods, you know?
That's fair.
I don't know.
But I mean, like a nice deep fried chicken won't even taste like it's deep fried. It'll just be crispy and light.
That's why I like it
And
is
juicy.
because like high quality deep fried food is actually like really nice because it's like all crunchy and light and stuff. Like low quality stuff feels like super heavy. Like I ate a giant piece of like,
I mean,
I don't know, thick chocolate cake or something.
you don't want to be eating anything that's like drenched in oil.
Yeah, exactly.
right? Like you want that shit to
Which,
slide
like, deep
off.
fried food is, but if you cook it right, then it doesn't feel like it.
Yeah. I will say I like it maybe a little bit too much. I think about it like probably more often than the average person. It's like, man,
It's okay.
really wish I could go for some fried chicken beer right now.
We all have our aesthetics, and that is yours.
It's just golden fried chicken and golden beer.
Mm-hmm.
Biru. Yeah.
Biru.
This is an anime that will make you hungry and will make you want to eat food.
Food.
It's a good food anime too, so I would recommend watching it if you like those things. It's fun actually. It's kind of like watching. It's like kind of like watching like a variety show, except about food.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and they teach you about food. It's cute. It's cute and chill and relaxing and calm.
Yeah, I like learning about food.
So watch it. You learn about food.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's do a lightning round.
Yes.
Because we watched a lot of
for
things.
all the other stuff.
And we've also
Yes.
watched a lot of short forms.
Okay, so first up is Piano no Mori. It is an anime based on a movie of the same name. And it's about these two boys. One of them is the son of a prostitute who comes from a very poor background. The other one comes from a very rich background who's from like a prestigious line of pianists. And they both play piano and they're both very good and they become friends. And you know that when they grow up, they're going to become boyfriends because that's how it should always be when two boys bond over piano.
That's how pianos work. Evangelion has basically taught us that the piano is like the symbol of the gay agenda.
Yes. You're correct. So
I
that's where this one will go, except that's not actually how it goes at all, but that's okay. It's a really cool watch.
Listen,
It's very chill.
anytime there's a piano, it's pretty gay, even if it's not gay. Like
Mhm.
Sakamichi no Aporon, that's fucking gay
Yes.
as hell.
Right? It was so
So gay.
and then it didn't turn out that way, but we all know the subtones.
We all know the subtext. That boy deep-throated that ice cream bar. It's a good Christian boy right there. What were we talking about? Anime. I'm watching Nobunaga no Shinobi, Anagawa Ishiyama Hen. It is basically a short form gag manga about a ninja that serves under Oda Nobunaga, famed uniter of all of Japan. It's cute, it's funny, it's more Nobunaga no Shinobi. Watch it.
Yeah.
Also,
It's super cute.
we're going to take a break from our lightning round to talk about Love to Lie Angle, which,
Why didn't you put this in the non-lightning round?
well, I didn't think that we'd really talk about it that much, but I have to argue with you here.
We have to argue over this.
Okay, we have to argue.
because we have very different opinions about this anime.
So first of all, it is the best title I've ever heard ever, because it's a pun, Love to Lie Angle, because it's a love triangle, and Toraianguru. That
But it's not even a triangle. It's a harem.
Yeah, so it's in the end, it's an actual triangle. You know how harem shit works. So it is
Continue.
it is a. I can't believe you put the word bad here. It is a short form harem anime. Oh no, I put the word bad there.
You put the word bad in there. I didn't even do it. You know it's bad too. In your heart of hearts, you agree with me. You're just arguing with me because it's a harem anime about girls who like girls, which I was on board for. I was all up in this concept. I was like, good. It's about time. And then it turned out to be terrible.
So yeah, it is a short form harem anime. It has the plot of kind of your average generic like Love Hina knockoff, but it's all about lesbians. All the characters are girls, and therefore it is good.
It's so bad.
No, it's good.
It's like they condensed every single trope of every harem anime ever. They made it shallow AF because they had to condense it into 3-minute episodes. And so the development is like lightning fast, and it's just like naked girls everywhere. So it's like, yeah, if you enjoy naked girls liking each other, and then of course you're gonna like it. But me, I like a little more story, Soup.
here's the thing about it, right? Which is like it plays into two different conceits, which work very well. Which is one, the bad harem conceit, right? It is the plot of your sort of run of the mill harem anime, except they've circumvented how bad it is by turning it into a short form, and then they put girls in to subvert the sort of like hegemonic ideas about heterosexuality.
See, that when you first told me about this anime, and you were like, yeah, it's a harem anime, but it's all ladies, and it's about a lady who loves all these ladies, and these ladies love her, and I'm like, okay, cool. And then it was this, though.
Listen, I think that lesbians too deserve bad harem anime. I think
they deserve good ones.
I think they deserve both good and bad anime. I think there's room for trashy anime, okay?
I wanted a good one before we had a bad one, Sue.
It's only 3 minutes. You're not losing that much of your life.
It's a lot. It feels so long.
No. It works because it's a short form. If it was a long form, even I wouldn't be able to watch it.
No.
Listen, I'm arguing that it works because it's short.
It doesn't work.
It does.
You know what short form lesbian story that I like was what the first episode of Crossing Time. That was cute.
I mean, that one works. That means we got a good short form and a bad short form.
But then the next episode, Crossing Time, was about a kohai who likes her, and he's a boy.
Renu just doesn't like the fact that we're going to uncharted waters, and it's a scary time.
Like this anime, I wanted it to be good.
No, we have to have the trashy with the good.
No.
It is the absolute law of anime.
No.
That all concepts must first have trashy concepts or trashy executions. It's just how it works. Listen, we have good underdog anime, and then we have trashy good underdog anime, and then we have trashy underdog anime. It's just how it works. Okay, we're going back to the lightning round.
Okay.
Crossing Time is a short-form series about romance and youth that happens at railroad crossings. It's very Japanese. It's very cute. The first episode was about lesbians. The execution and comedic timing of the anime were very good. Watch it.
It was very good. Yes. I look forward to more. Let's see. Next is Akunto Kanajo. It's a short form about a boy who is the most tsundere boy you will ever meet, and then his girlfriend who loves him for who he is, and they make it work. It's very cute.
They do make it work. It's also a short form, so that one you can knock out in like 2-3 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, low investment. I mean, low return, mind you, but like it's cute.
I like it better than Love Torangu.
See, that's where I think you're wrong. Next up is 3D Kanojo Real Girl. It's a very 2011 shoujo. The pacing is pretty slow. I like it personally, but that's just because I read the manga.
I don't like it at all.
It's about a sad boy, and then he becomes a less sad boy. That's about it. Yeah. It's a very 2011.
I don't know. I wanted to like it because it's from that, it's older and stuff like that, but it didn't. It doesn't ring with me.
I think the manga hits better. Better.
Yeah.
The anime is pretty slow.
And then next we have Dances with Dragons, which I was hoping would be related to Dance with Devils, but it's not. And so it's just bad.
It was okay, we should clarify. Dance with Devils is also bad, but it's a musical, which means it transcends badness.
Yeah.
Dances with Dragons,
which makes it good.
Dances with Dragons is bad, and it's also not a musical, which means it's bad and disappointing.
Yeah, exactly. Not that we had any sort of reason to make it seem like it was related to Dance with Devils, other than the title, but we just wanted it to be that way, and it wasn't.
It was the hope in my hopest of hearts.
Yes.
Neil Admiral no Tenbin, Teito Genwaku Kitan. It is. I'm pretty sure it's an adaptation of an otome set in the Taisho era. It's about cursed books. It's bad. It's so bad. Holy shit.
It's really bad.
I cannot I cannot explain to you just how terrible it is. It is slow. It is boring.
Yes.
I don't care about anything. And for whatever reason, they chose to make it Taisho era by just drenching everything in a sepia filter.
Yeah.
And it doesn't make any sense. I'm sure if you like the otome that I presume it is based on, you will like this, but otherwise, steer the fuck clear. I thought it might be good because it's Taisho era, and I was like, ooh, the Taisho era. There's not a lot of anime. There's not a lot of anime set in the Taisho era. Don't watch it. It's bad.
Yeah, it's very typical, mediocre, subpar quality of other otome anime, and it's not great, sadly. So next we have Caligula, which was somewhat interesting. We might watch more if we have time. But it's about like we probably won't have time, but it's like Vocaloid and Matrix in anime form put into one. It's about like if Miku's singing made people go crazy and kill other people.
I'm kind of sad because like the conceit of this is pretty interesting. It's like here's all these sad people. They listen to this person's songs, and then their minds are transported or whatever into like an illusory high school, because that's what the perception of the best time of one's life is. And I think it has the potential to say some interesting things, but
I hate the main character.
I just feels like it's not going to go anywhere. It feels like it's not going to do anything with the cool premise it has.
Yeah.
Feels like it's not going to say anything interesting, even though it has the potential to say some very biting things about Japanese media and popular culture.
Yeah.
Whatever. I hate it.
The main character is always spouting psychology with every breath of his life, and then it also like has this feel of like it's trying to be kind of cool like Persona, but it doesn't hit it. It doesn't hit the mark. And then it tries to be its own thing, but it also doesn't quite reach it for me, right? Like, I don't know. Like, I do want to see where it goes, but yeah, I'm also worried that it won't go anywhere.
All in all, I have that on my maybe list.
Yeah, it's a definite maybe.
Like, maybe if we finish Darling in the Franxx, I'll make Renu watch it.
No! I'd rather watch Caligula than Darling in the
You can watch Caligula after we're done with Darling in the Franxx. You gotta eat your veggies before you eat your desserts.
No, this isn't even a dessert!
Yeah, well,
God. That's
pretty much all we watched, I think.
Yeah.
I think that's...
Yeah.
I think that's it.
That's Spring 2018, the intro.
That's
we will we'll revisit at the end of the season, and we'll let you know which ones we kept up with, but those are our first impressions so far.
Yeah, well, we'll see, and like I don't think this season is as strong as last season. I think last season was something special.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree.
But, you know, with things like Hinamatsuri and Megalobox, I like the place that we're in.
Yeah, I mean, there's some definite good watches, and I feel like because there weren't as many good anime to keep up with, we'll actually be able to keep up with the ones we want to keep up with and finish them.
I would tend to agree. I think that's true.
Yeah, so I guess it's not a bad thing.
That's it then. That's all the anime that we watched. What are you doing this week, Renu? What are you up to?
Oh boy. So let's see. I am doing more Artsus and might be playing Hatoful Boyfriend with my friendo who's never played it before. This week on my Twitch channel at twitch.tv/SwanDrawn. You can also find me on Twitter and on Tumblr and all that at the same name. I also have an Instagram, swan.drawn. And yeah, that's what I'll be doing. What about you, Soup?
I totally forgot. We watched the first episode of the horse anime.
Oh, you're right. The horse anime cannot end without talking about the horse
So,
anime.
hang on. I know we're in the middle of telling people where you can find us, but Uma Musume Pretty Derby.
We have to talk about this.
Okay. What the fuck?
It is so like it's definitely one of those animes where it's like you don't know how to feel, right? Because it's about horse girls who race, and there's the main character is a horse girl, and it's like, you know, she's a girl, but she has little horse ears and a tail and whatnot, and she runs with other girls, and then they compete in races. And it's really, really, really well animated, and it's very, very pretty. Like, they call it Pretty Derby, and it's pretty. But it's about horse girls.
So, this is basically like if you made a track and field anime, except
Yes.
all of the characters or all of the racers are horse girls. So they're girls
Yes.
with horse ears and tails.
Yes.
And they're all named after real life race horses.
Yes.
And they're also idols.
They are also idols, you're right!
And I don't know how to feel about this, to put it sort of diplomatically, because to me, this anime has no right being as good as it is. In a lot of ways, it feels like I'm watching something and my first reaction is just why. I feel like there was an immense amount of human talent and work and effort that was put into this for a reason that I cannot fathom why one would want to work.
Exactly. Like, it's both mind-boggling and upsetting at how much clear time and investment and money went into animating this series so well, right? It's gorgeous. And then you're left thinking, like, at the end of the day, I'm watching a horse girl idol anime, and like, I get where they would draw the money from, though, right? Though, because it hits the cute girl market, right? It hits the, you know, gijinkify, you know, anthropomorphize animals into cute girls market, and then it hits the idol market, right? And there's a lot of money in the idol market for sure. And so then you get all three in one anime, and then that's how the studio is going to make its money.
It seems like this studio has like just been bought out by whatever company owns the horse racing sort of market in Japan, and it's just like, we need you to bring more people to the horse races. Do you know of a way to do this? We will leverage the otaku. I cannot fathom, in all sincerity, why this anime exists, nor can I fathom why it is as good as it is.
Because it's so like ridiculous, but when you look at it, it is like such a guaranteed cash cow, right? All the merch that they'll sell from this, all the marketing and whatnot that they'll get from this is going to sell so big. Like, it is guaranteed to make money. And so I think that's why they were able to put so much time and money into it and make it really good, so that even people like us who are like, why this anime, are gonna watch it because it's pretty. And then it's gonna sell really big for people who are fans of any of these, you know, cute girls, whatever, horse girls or idols or whatever. Like, you know, it's gonna sell. So
I almost want to commend this anime for how anime it is, for how absolutely over the top ridiculous and against any non-Japanese convention of traditional wisdom or common sense, and yet at the same time, every fiber of my being is instinctively trying to run away from this, the very concept of this anime.
Yeah, but you can't.
But I can't escape it, because the horses run so fast, they will always catch you.
You're not a horse boy, Soup.
Thank God for that, because horses are God's mistake. But I don't understand. On a deep, visceral level, this is the first time in probably a decade that I've ever felt like, what the fuck is anime? This is anime.
Culmination.
It just goes to show you the length that Japan will go to turn everything into a cute, like, anime girl.
Yeah.
Even horses. Even
horses.
race horses. The absolute symbol of depraved gambling in society has become a moe anime.
An idol moe anime.
And also their idols.
That's where the money's at.
Because why the fuck not?
Because Love Live.
They're
trying to get the Love Live fans, Soup.
You mean lesbians? There are so many disparate parts to this anime, and there's no reason that they should at all gel with each other, and yet, I watched the first episode and I didn't hate it.
They got you!
And I didn't hate it. It's sort of like, when I'm watching it, I'm like, huh. But at the same time, when I'm outside of the anime itself, I'm like, I never want to watch it again.
Yeah. And yet.
No, I'm not being drawn back to this. I hate this.
Okay.
Yeah.
How come I have to watch Darling in the Franxx and you can't watch Horse Girls?
Do you want to watch Horse Girls?
If we're gonna watch Darling in the Franxx, why are we... Okay, so first of all, why are we watching Darling in the Franxx?
We're watching Darling in the Franxx because it is an important piece of media.
And Horse Girls is... How is Darling in the Franxx an important piece of media?
You know, I really can't, like, argue that Darling in the Franxx is more important than horse anime. I feel like both of them kind of hold, like, the same position of just sort of rising relevance to the anime community.
Yeah. And they're both really well animated.
Yeah, I don't know. I think I don't know. Maybe I'm getting too old for this.
No, I'm getting too old.
Now I feel old. Well, whatever. That was it. We talked about horse anime. We watched the first episode of that, you absolute heathens. This, you know what? Uma Musume Pretty Derby is an anime made for only the greatest hedonists amongst all anime lovers. If you love to indulge in all things anime, this anime is for you. Also, if you like horse races, I guess this anime is for you. And also, if you like betting and wasting your time away by betting all your monies that you made. So if you're like a depraved adult, Uma Musume Pretty Derby is for you. I joke.
I mean, I think this season has gotten like all of the fetishes.
Yeah, there's
somehow in one season.
There's some weird stuff going on this season. I think.
They got like horse girls, they got idols, they got Vocaloids, they got vor, they got otomes. I think they have something for everyone.
I don't know if otomes are a fetish.
I think they are.
I think it's a taste, but I don't know if it's a fetish.
I think if it's an obsession, then it can become a fetish.
I mean, that's true. I really can't like refute that, because there's a guy on DeviantArt that just commissions people to draw white women buying loaves of bread. So,
what?
Oh, you don't know about the bread boy?
No.
Oh, okay. He just commissions people to draw like cartoon characters buying just absolute immense amounts of bread. They're not eating it. They're not naked. It's not sexual, but they're just buying bread. And he just commissions people to draw this.
Is it like they just like have a shopping cart full of bread?
Just a shopping cart full of bread. Like specifically white Wonder bread. I don't get it either.
Aesthetic.
That's your fun internet fetish fact of the day.
Thanks.
Thanks, I hate it.
Where else can we find you on the internet aside from this guy's DeviantArt?
You can please don't look for me on DeviantArt. that's not a like admittance to my like weird fetishes. That's just the fact that there's art on there and it's embarrassing.
Oh, but that's when I met you.
Yeah, and that's probably the only thing that happened on that goddamn website.
Anyway, where can we find you?
You can find me at all the places at Literal Soup. You can find our podcast at the Absolute Cast on Twitter, and we'll give you updates and stuff. That's it. Kachigoro?
It's a good time.
Kachigoro, eat your fucking heart out.
No more, please.
Please, not in that way. Not in that way. Just in the mean way. I want it to be mean.
You want it to be mean?
I don't want it to be weird. Just mean.